Welcome to Holistic Health for Happy Kids, the podcast where we dive into the root causes of children's health challenges and explore natural solutions to help little ones thrive. I'm Lisa, a passionate paediatric naturopath and mum of 3, dedicated to empowering parents with practical tips and expert insights to raise healthy, happy kids. Each episode will unpack common childhood health concerns like allergies, eczema, fussy eating, and gut health, and share evidence-based advice to support your child's wellness naturally. Let's create a generation of thriving children, one holistic step at a time. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Holistic Health for Happy Kids, the podcast. And I'm your host, Lisa. So I'm just going to introduce a little bit about myself. So I was born and raised in Northern Ireland. So this is not an Australian accent. This is clearly a Northern Ireland accent. And I grew up during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, which was obviously a very challenging way to grow up. And it definitely built a lot of resilience in myself and my peers. And way back when, in the 1990s, I actually studied mechanical and food engineering at university. And then I did a master's in food science, which I graduated with a long time ago in 1999. But I actually emigrated to Australia when I was 24, so also quite a long time ago. And for the next 15 years or so, I actually worked in the processed food industry because I had the engineering and the food science hats. I worked in chocolate manufacture, I worked in muesli bar manufacture, and I worked in breakfast cereal manufacture. So quite different to what I do today. But as some of you have probably realized, after you have kids, it is definitely a time to step back and reassess what you're actually doing with your life and if it's what you're meant to be doing. And I clearly decided that working in the processed food industry was not how I was meant to spend my working life. So I did a complete 180 and I quit my job. I studied nutrition, then naturopathy, left Sydney and completely changed what I do for a living. So I now have 3 children. The oldest is 16 and my baby is 10. And my middle child has complex congenital heart disease. So it's congenital, so she was born with it. So we've been dealing with that for all 13 years of her life, plus half the pregnancy before that. She actually had her first heart surgery when she was 16 hours old. And in the first 3 months of her life, she had 10 general anesthetics and so many different drugs. It's not funny. And then last year, she had another open heart surgery. So I've known for her whole life that open heart surgery was going to come and it was looming. So I did spend her entire life basically doing prehab. So making sure that she was moving, making sure her stress was managed, making sure she was eating the right foods. She's been taking herbs and nutrients since, she was a teeny tiny baby. And I really think this had a massive impact on her recovery and her bounce back from that surgery. And she was back at soccer training 6 weeks after that operation. So you just wouldn't know to look at her that she has a heart problem. And I'm so proud of her. She is resilience personified. And then my younger child, he had a different issue. He ended up having 12 different food allergies. And we will talk a lot about food allergies during the course of this podcast series. But he had 12 food allergies. We're down to 4. I've done so many things over his 10 years or the 9 years that we've known he has allergies. And I feel it has really paid off. So I guess what my point is that I am not sitting in this ivory tower with my children never having had any problems, never having had antibiotics. Like I'm living a real life with my own children, and I'm doing my best as a mother to help them through all these issues. And I do try to put 100% of my effort into making sure that I am doing the best to keep them healthy. In fact, One massive reason why I quit my corporate life was because I wanted to cook for my children. I didn't want to be getting home at 5:30 every night, having to feed them and having to rely on more convenient options. That was not how I intended my family's life to be. So by leaving my 9 to 5 job, I was able to actually prepare whole food, nutritious, made from scratch meals every day. So now I run a predominantly online nutrition and naturopathy clinic with a team of 7 practitioners. And we see children with all sorts of issues. So if it's a health issue that affects a child, we treat it. Complex, simple, everything in between. We just do our research to make sure we're doing the best for the children that we see. So we see children who have fussy eating issues, eczema, gut issues, mood issues, behavioral issues, everything and anything. And, we love the complex kiddos that might have not been able to get help elsewhere. We just do our research, we take things back to basics, and we try to look at the root causes of all issues. In our clinic, we do a lot of functional testing. So that's testing that's going to be outside of Medicare and outside conventional testing. But we also do rely a lot on blood tests because there are some things that you need to do a blood test to find out the answer to. All the time, we will see clients who have come to us after having seen other health professionals and not having had success. But sometimes the reason why they haven't had success is because the right tests haven't been run. So you're kind of like fumbling around in the dark, and it's often just a cookie cutter approach that has been rolled out to these people. So yes, testing is expensive. A poo test is about $500. But honestly, most parents would rather pay $500 for a poo test and get to an answer within 3 months rather than just fumble around and take 12 months to get to the same answer. It's money well spent. In the team of 7 practitioners, we have naturopaths, we have nutritionists, and we have a dietitian. So whether you're a private paying client, got NDIS funding, you've got a chronic health plan from Medicare, or you've got health fund coverage, we can help. Over the next few months, I'll be having most of the practitioners on the team on this podcast, and they'll be talking about their areas of specialty. So stay tuned for that. I've also got great lineup of speech pathologists, occupational therapists, lactation consultants, dental specialists, all the sorts of people that we co-refer to as practitioners, and all the people that we know have the best interest of your child at heart. If you work holistically with children in any field whatsoever and you would like to be a guest on my podcast, please send me a message on Instagram and I would love to talk to you. Or if you've worked with a practitioner who you think would really be aligned with what I'm trying to project in this podcast, please give me their name and I'll get in touch with them. I'm going to be releasing a podcast every 2 weeks, and there's going to be a mix of different topics. There's going to be solo episodes, there's going to be guest episodes, and everything that you want on this podcast. So thank you for joining me on this initial podcast, and I'm so happy to have you along for the ride. Thanks for tuning in to Holistic Health for Happy Kids. I hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring on your journey to raise thriving, healthy little ones. Remember, small, consistent changes can lead to big transformations. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other parents who might benefit. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at the Paediatric Naturopath for more tips, tools, and inspiration. If you've got a question or a topic you'd love to hear about, please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and keep supporting your kids in the most natural, nurturing ways possible.